Hi, I'm Rick Lobdell. This episode is brought to you by the Decorative Concrete Expo in Canton, Ohio, February 27th and 28th. We have Josh Whitfield on the show, a contestant of the Smackdown, competing against me. Hi, welcome to another episode of Concrete Mystique, the podcast. Today is going to be an interesting show. I've got someone I've really only met once now that I know of. We'll find that out. But an unusual person joining me today because he called me out last week during World of Concrete for the Decocrete show. And I figured, why not bring him on and let's have a longer conversation about this and see where it goes. And I look forward to the challenge coming up shortly in less than a month less than a month now. But I want to welcome Josh Whitfield. Yeah. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
It's been interesting to get to know you already.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met you a few years ago.
So first of all, go ahead. Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. That's what I always ask because I never remember. So go ahead and tell me that.
Yeah, but which I was watching yours and Isaiah's, and like you guys talk, it is kind of intimidating meeting some of them people at those expos, because that's where I met Isaiah at the first one. He was doing the big skull. You were doing your design.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Crystal was there. Rebecca. I've gotten to talk to Rebecca, Crystal, Rachel, Jeff Kirk last year. I did some stuff with him, messed around. It is kind of, I didn't talk to Ben last year or you, because like I said, it's kind of intimidating when you're there at those shows. And I'm just some redneck from Indiana. You know what I mean? Been in the concrete business for a long time.
So you're telling me that you were intimidated by me last year, but yet this year you want to call me out and pick a fight with me. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're coming. We're coming for you. We're going to put you right back into retirement. But it's exciting to be involved in something like this.
I agree. I mean, I love doing these things. I've been doing them for a long time. And that was one of the things that was part of the question when they brought it up to me, because I've been doing the demos at their show since they started. Yeah. And they were like, well, this year we're going to do this other thing. And I'm like, is this one of those moments where I need to like back off for a second and let everybody else do it? Or, I can't stop myself. I'm like, nah, I got something I want to try. And so I was the first one to enter.
Yeah.
That's
the part about this.
Go ahead.
I
was just going to say, I called Jeff sorry, you're on a slight delay. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I called him to just find out what the deal was, what the plan was. And then he was like, so is this your official entry? And I'm like, sure. He's like, you're the first one that entered. I'm like, oh, great.
He'll put you right at the top. Paint the bullseye. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially, it's kind of nerve wracking at those things, because you guys are busy doing projects, and half the time we don't want to interrupt and wonder if you guys even take the chance to talk to us. Because
No, absolutely. We try as like, that's one of the things that I had to learn it the hard way a couple of times, because there's been a couple of years where I've done a project that was so intense that I just could not be bothered. I did a koi pond one year for Decocrete, and I warned them ahead of time that this was going to take more work than they could possibly imagine. And I worked like 12 hours a day on it or something crazy. I mean, morning to night when they opened till they closed, I was until the very end when everybody was gone, I was still finishing it up. A year or two later, I had one where they were literally putting all the shelving back up around me while I was still finishing the project.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, but they had to. They couldn't wait for me. And so, I've learned that you got to be very careful about your time. Time management is the hardest thing to this. Not that I want to give secrets away to my competitor, but
trying to keep the ideas to a minimum too. My mind don't stop. I've got a design, and we're always adding things, and we changed a few things today, and I can't wait to bring it out of my mind.
No, I agree with you. Like I'm super excited about what I've got planned. Yeah, I can't wait. It's killing me because I
Yeah,
developed it back in like November now. So I made my plan all the way back in November to show them what I was going to do, and so I've been waiting since then to do this. That's what's
yeah.
funny about it.
Was you going? Did you have this designed for this challenge, or just was you going to do it as a your next demo?
Nope, for this challenge. This is a one-time opportunity for me to do something completely different, and why not?
Yeah,
And I could have
yeah.
done it over
That's
the last
awesome.
couple of years of the show, possibly, but no, I couldn't do it until last year, to where we had the free form of having that space to do it in.
Yeah.
If I would have been doing this, I would never have been able to do what I'm going to do if it was permanent at Decocrete. There's no way.
Have you had this design in your mind for a while, or just something pop up?
No, I've actually, yeah, this is something I planned years ago. It's a different version of the same idea, but it's something that I thought of. I tried to sell to a couple different companies for World of Concrete to do it at their booth for a couple
Yeah,
years, and then gave up and was like, "You guys don't get it. Never
yeah,
mind." And then finally, and I remembered that because that's what popped into my head. I was like, "Wait, this is something I still have never got to do." So
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we're throwing a bunch of stuff in together to to come at it. Yeah, we got some vertical carve, horizontal, mixed media, couple surprises.
that's the hardest
Yeah,
part about this is I've been doing these competitions since 2011, and they never. The first year I did it, I just slaughtered everybody with my koi. Had a 10-foot koi splashing in the water, all out of metallic. It was pretty badass. After that, I don't think anybody's ever paid attention because they pay attention to the vertical. Like vertical
yeah,
came out right at that point, and from that point on, if you have a vertical, I literally had one year where they stepped on me looking at the vertical next to me. They didn't even notice I was
huh,
painting a mural on the floor with a dolphin in the middle of a cove and all this kind of stuff. I got stepped
yeah,
on a few times. I was getting so
huh,
mad. So
yeah,
the biggest problem I have
yeah,
is if you don't have vertical, you don't have a chance to win.
yeah. Well, we got a little vertical.
So do I.
Not saying that's just going to win it, but
I know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think everybody's going to have a little vertical going on. I'm kind of excited to see what everybody's got.
It's funny too
I can't wait
because
to.
like one year I did a 7 foot tall pink bunny, and I did it for Concrete Cares, and I said the same thing because the year before was the one I got trampled on. So I was like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna do something that's got something vertical to it, and so I made this bunny and shipped it out there, and then I just did the floor around it and put the bunny in the middle of
yeah,
it, and it went so well. And this wasn't a competition. This was just to do a booth. It went so
yeah.
well that that the bunny made it on the HDTV. I didn't.
Huh.
The bunny did. That's the funniest thing
Yeah,
about it is all of a sudden this guy like shows up and interviews the bunny and runs off. And I'm like, hey, I
huh,
made never mind. See you
yeah,
later. It was so crazy.
huh. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. And the thing about like I've never went to any of them expos or anything like that. The first one I went to was over at their main warehouse. Uh, 10 years ago, people didn't help you out in the industry, didn't want to answer your questions or talk to you or something like that. So that's kind of new to me. The last 4 years of meeting people in the way up in the industry. I've been doing decorative concrete for 20 some years now, 27 years this year, but I always felt it was at the top of the chart in residential work. But meeting these new people, the staining, the different techniques, like I've took, I'm taking some overlay techniques to my full depth, and we're just blowing the stuff apart.
That's one of the
Kind of
funniest
like what
things
we're
about
gonna.
overlay. You never really think about what you can do with it until you start really messing with it. Like I
Yeah,
I've never poured an ounce of concrete in my life. That's the funniest thing to everything I do. It's only on top of somebody else's work that
yeah,
they've made to put that down. But I've overlaid a ton, and it took
yeah,
me years to get to that point. Like I always just worked with what was there for a very long time, like probably almost a decade before I finally started really messing with overlay myself. I had a
hmm,
my concrete guy would pour the concrete, and or he would overlay for me. But
yeah,
eventually I started getting into the overlays with them, and I started to do it my way, and I felt like it was really successful, and I kind of enjoyed doing it. I didn't do it every single day, but I did it probably 2, 3 times a month easily for a while there, especially in the summer. But I
Yeah.
did all my design work on top of it, and I liked making the texture. I liked making, recreating things or doing a lot of repair work underneath it that you're going to hide by doing that, and then go
Yeah.
in and do my work. It's definitely there's so many things you can do with the overlay to manipulate the surface of concrete. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. What made you want to start messing with the overlay?
Just when I got to a point of realizing that like anytime you had to fix a hole in the floor or you had to like replumb or rewire or anything that you had to put through there, if you didn't
Yeah.
resurface it, it was really hard to hide. And I
Yeah.
finally just got to a point where I was like, well, okay, we can self level it inside. I just started to slowly kind of develop an understanding of you can resurface. Because one of the things I always used to do is I always used to sell against it. And I would be like, well, that's not going to last because you're putting extra concrete on the surface and it's not going to bond very well and it's eventually going to chip
Yeah.
off. If mine flakes off, it's really easy to touch up. Unless or if I'm doing an acid stain, it's never going to come off anyway. So my
Yeah.
stuff was permanent. There was no question about it, and it was easy maintenance. And I saw a lot of like coal deck flaking off, and I saw a lot of damage projects, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Here's a picture of one. Here's another example." And it took me years to figure out. No, they didn't know what they were doing on those projects. It wasn't the overlay; it was the installer,
Yeah.
and I never understood that. And then eventually, I finally got to a point where I was like, "Okay, maybe this stuff is better than I thought. Maybe I've been
Yeah.
bad mouthing it for too long, and I got interested in it. And I didn't really play with much texture. One of my biggest things is I really want it to still be concrete, and I don't like to use white. I only like to use
Yeah.
gray. I'm not one of those people that wants to make a blue floor with the overlay necessarily. I usually wanted to stain it afterward. So I was obsessed with
Yeah.
keeping my canvas gray. And like I wrote an article about it in Concrete Decor magazine, but there is a huge difference in what color does over gray and over white. And
Yeah.
on one hand, you can sit there and say on gray concrete or gray overlay or gray concrete, the gray itself is a tone that will create a depth for everything you do on top of it. When you work on white, the problem is that you don't have any depth anymore. You have vibrant color,
Yeah.
but it's harder to get the darks to actually look like depth. You lose it because the white is too stark and too bright and too bold, and so it flattens the value of your floor, but it enlightens the color. And I didn't really care about that. I didn't need them to be brighter. The colors were fine. The gray concrete
Yeah.
made it have that like fresco look to it and things like that. And so I always just kind of went that way and left it gray all the time. And I did do one project where I did a fake stairway, so that you saw a stairway, then a fake stairway go down to the Phantom of the Opera, and the fake stairway and the Phantom, everything was painted with overlay. It was a micro topping, and I added color
Yeah, I
and I
seen a
hand
picture of
painted
that.
the entire thing. That was insane, and that was really cool, and it was probably
Yeah.
the most durable floor I've ever made interior. We scratched it a few times. That shit held up like you wouldn't believe. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I used to be against overlays all the time. Back when I don't know, 15 years ago, I went to help another guy and he was messing up stuff and overlaying 2 inches. Well, we got to overlay this. And I was never into the overlay because I was always skeptical of it coming off and all that. But the new products they have out, they are very durable, and the stuff you can do with it, the stuff I've been doing the last few years, I mean, I've never thought I'd be doing a vertical carved shower or some of this cool stuff, which we've actually brought some of the uh, overlay texture to our full depth, doing a new wicked, we call it wicked wood, where it looks like stamped wood, but instead of just having this regular stamps, you have a few stamps to pick from. We can make each board its own little design, and as wide as you want, long as you want. We actually did a 1,800 square foot basement this year, all in that wood
Hmm.
texture in one time.
Do you find that when you do that texture in a basement, that do the clients come back to you and go, "It's great, but there's so much texture, it's a pain in the butt to keep clean"?
No, on an actual stamp, it is because the stamp is so aggressive. But this new wicked wood with the broom, because we're just brooming the texture and giving it the little marks in there, and then it's a lot easier to clean than the stamp, and that's
Hmm.
one of the big reasons we can sell it, because of it's less aggressive, but still has, I think it actually has a better wood look than the stamp, because I got a pro
Interesting.
line stamp of reclaimed timber, but there's just, in my set of stamps, there's just two, a red and a blue, and you got to learn how to turn them and switch them to make it not look repetitive. But
Correct.
my, I think we actually do better by hand doing our new texture. We actually
Hmm.
got a basket weave that we did that I'm waiting to see it stained, but the weather's got us tied up at the moment.
Damn weather.
I
Yeah, it's
think that'll
raining
look
here
pretty
too.
cool. Yeah.
Where do you live?
I live in Salisbury, Indiana, about 15 minutes west of Bloomington, Indiana, the IU campus.
Oh, okay. Cool. So yeah, you're the Midwest, and do you get a lot of snow in that area, or are you the southern Indiana?
Uh, Used to, we did. We haven't really had snow like we have now for 5 years. Well, we've been
Interesting.
working, yeah, and then we got about 18 inches down here. And then before we left for Vegas, it was 1 degrees down here. It was
Well, yeah, it
so
was five
I
degrees here
wouldn't.
in Nashville.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily, we didn't get snow that day. It was like slightly snowing. We got 6 inches the weekend before or whatever, or the week before, but
yeah,
we don't get snow like that here. Like to get 6 inches is like the world is, I mean, to get an inch, the world is over here.
yeah.
The
You get a
only
little bit
difference
here,
with
and
the,
people forget how to drive.
well, it's worse here, man. Well, plus we get a
Yeah,
lot more black ice. That's the
yeah,
biggest issue here is we get black ice because we usually get rain and then it snows over
and
top of the rain, once it
yeah,
freezes. This last one was one of the first times ever where it actually just got cold for a couple of days and then the snow hit and we never had
yeah,
that rain and it was beautiful and it was easy to drive. It wasn't that big of a deal, at least for me, because I'm originally from
yeah,
Ohio, so I'm a Midwesterner myself.
yeah. Yeah, I grew up in all this weather, so that don't bother me. It comes snowing, I go out in it.
You have 19
Yeah,
inches
we
right
had,
now, though.
no, now it's all melted and it's just ice, and the roads are all pretty much clear, except from the big piles that's not melted off yet. But
Yeah, of course, they take forever.
yeah, which uh, my buddy was over getting a big service pit in his barn, and he had to bury a horse, and there was 8 inches of freeze in the ground still. He had to bust through, so we still got. It's warming up. I think it was 50 today. So
And was this your first World of Concrete this year?
no, this that was my third.
Third?
Yeah,
Um, it was pretty busy this year.
yeah. The first time, me and my wife, we'd never been, 25 years in concrete, so like we was trying to see everything, and she had blisters on her toes, and it was it was hectic. So the second year we tried to tone it down just a little bit, and then this year we just kind of went and seen some things, and then spent the second day doing some networking, you know, looking for some future affiliates and this and that, and people to team up with. And
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing I was going to get to with the competition is like how big of a team are you bringing?
I got three guys that work for me.
Yeah. So you're bringing your
Yeah,
personal team. You don't have other affiliates
yeah.
coming to help you. It's all your
No, I
team.
ain't got no outside secrets, and no, the secret sauce is in between these ears.
That's not exactly what I meant, but okay. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
but yeah,
That's funny.
Chris Kroll sent me a message, said, "Hey, Nick Lang is the king of epoxy. You might want to have him swing by." And which I
Man, I
told them
laughed
guys, I
so
said,
hard when Jeff brought that up and then looked at me and was like, I know what you're about to say. And I was like, help? Who the hell needs help? He knew it because he
"Yeah,
knows.
yeah,
I thought
yeah."
that
And
was
I met
hilarious.
Nick, which it's so hard to meet people. And like I said, I seen you the one that the Deco Creed a few years ago at the warehouse. Uh, that was the first one I went to,
Yeah.
and that was crazy. And like I said, everybody's so busy, half the time I don't think people realize how many people they meet, or do you recognize people? I forget names, but faces. Like I said,
No,
last year I
actually,
actually did go and talk.
it's a very good question, actually, because I ask that every time. You said that before I even got to ask it. I literally
Yeah.
ask that every single time because I've done these things so many times that no, I meet hundreds of people and I don't remember 90% of the conversations. You just never
Yeah.
know. And sometimes I'll remember faces if we have a long conversation or something, but no, it's really difficult to remember. And it's a
Yeah.
funny thing to ask just for that reason, to see how much you've been in the background and I didn't pay attention because I'm terrible
Yeah.
about
Because I've
that.
seen you
At
for
least
the
I admit
last
it.
3 years. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen you busy working
And you're
around
not
and you're,
intimidated by what I do.
well, I mean, yeah, it is, but I'm ready to take this challenge. Never have I thought in a million years that some little redneck guy is going to be accepted to some big challenge like this with the big dogs, and they're going to be in for a surprise.
Well, that's also why I wanted to invite you on here. I mean, it was one that you called me out, and it was another. Well, since you did, let's get to know each other because we had a great time talking before we went
Yeah.
live and after. I
Yeah.
mean, what
It
people
was a
don't
good
know
time
that
out there.
what people don't know that they can know now because the video came out was that we planned half of that. We had an
Yeah.
idea of what we wanted to do. We knew I told him to steal the belt from me. Like we had enough of a plan to make that look good. The rest of it we
Yeah.
improved, and I
Yeah.
enjoyed
It worked
your
out
your back
good.
and forth improv. It worked out great. It was
Yeah.
hilarious.
My kids loved it. Yeah. My kids had a blast.
They want to pull it off that video, but they know it's going to be a bad one. So I was like, well, maybe we'll have a good one from this for you to throw in there. But you
Yeah.
never know. So, but that was great. It's funny that we'll see how it changes when we get there because they want more of
Yeah.
that too. And I'm hoping that some of the other guys are going to jump in and have fun with us. If not,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep rolling. But I hope that they
Yeah. That's what it's
all,
about. Yeah. It's about having
especially with it
fun.
being
And
called
like
the
I said, this,
Smackdown.
yeah. Yeah. Zach, one of the guys that worked for me that was out there, he said we ought to all get together, like we're in a big rumble when we get there, like before the show, like we're,
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out how much fun we're gonna have together about all that. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll talk about that more once we're finally there and seeing
yeah.
where everybody's
Yeah.
at
Cause
and
my
stuff
guy,
like that
Zach, he's
too.
like, yeah. Zach's like, I will accept a hit from Rick.
That's awesome. But the
He
other
said,
thing
I
to
will.
that too is they okay. So two things. One, if they're listening, because they hopefully they will once I send this out.
Yeah.
They need to put us right beside each other in the center or something like that,
Yeah.
so that we're constantly bickering back and forth.
Yeah.
First of all, if you want a good show, put us right beside each other. Now that we've got this started, why not? Let's roll with it. Second of
Yeah. And that's
all,
what it's about.
yeah, and second of all, I was watching Dana White talk about the fights that are tomorrow because I love UFC. I love fighting. I'm
Oh,
not a
yeah.
big fan of the WWF or anything like that. I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
UFC, and I'm a big fan of talking. I mean, I'm a big fan of talking shit anyway because I have a degree in
Oh,
philosophy.
yeah.
So I'll debate with the best of them. I don't care. Like I love it. It's how many other
Yeah.
people can't handle it and just like either walk away or I'm just better at not doing it unless someone else starts it. But if
Yeah.
you're going to start it, I'm going to finish it, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I sent Jeff the video to go, you guys should do this. And it was like, it had all the people that were fighting that night. And it was like, you got to see this, and this is going to happen. And this is the one, and it would be hilarious for them to do something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What to
They put out a
expect.
little preview. Uh, I seen one today. I was showing my wife's aunt about the SmackDown. It had a little clip of our video in Vegas.
You left your Tahoe thing, the cigarette lighter on. I
Oh,
need your keys.
it's in my pants.
Okay.
Um, I don't know what I was
You saw
talking
the
about.
video today from Decocrete. I didn't even know it was
Oh,
up that had us on it.
yeah, and it has a clip of all 8 of us, and then has a picture of you on there, and I'm coming in to take the belt. Hey, there's a little snippet of that on there, like, and yeah, and I didn't know if you was going to do a podcast with the other contestants, or to have maybe a little clip of everybody together, or
I
if
don't.
you have. Do you even
I'm
know
bringing
the
my
other
stuff with me.
contestants? Yeah.
Only a couple of them actually. Some of them are some of my students. Well, one of them is one group of them is at least. And then Rachel, I've known for ever since I started all this. So I've known her forever. But I hadn't thought that far yet because I really don't know the other guys. And I'm going to bring my equipment out there if we have time. It's just hard to find time because we're having so much fun together.
Yeah, because it's so busy.
Right. And where we're going to do it and stuff like that. But I'll have it with me in case because, I'm driving, so it doesn't hurt to take it. But no, I have not thought that far. I would think about that more afterward. I wanted to do this right away with it. I didn't even think about this till I contacted you. Like when we talked about it, I was like, we'll have to do this when we're there. I was like, wait, why are we waiting till then? Let's go now. Let's create this buzz. Let's go for it. And so that's why I contacted you right away and was like, I don't know you, but it's time to get to know you. And we're going to have a lot of fun together. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I seen in your one with Isaiah, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you said you'd tell him to fuck off, you wouldn't do one like this.
Like you were saying,
it's cool.
10 years ago, it was hard to
cool
find.
Getting in there and people to reach out and talk. I'm big into that. I'm a big, good teacher, or I try to be try to help people, and I want to see people do good. I'm high quality and stuff. That's what I want to teach.
Yeah, it took me
and
years.
You don't always want to, yeah. And, like you said in that interview with him, was you worthy of my time? Was you worthy of coming up and talking to me? Do you deserve to be in my space? I never really thought like that because I just been a concrete guy, I was taught by an old drunk, but he was like one of the best. I mean, A+, and he introduced me like that one time. His name was Paul Terrell brothers, two redheaded brothers, very good at concrete. But he introduced me like that one day, was bidding a job, said, this is Josh Whitfield. He's going to be an A+ finisher one day. And it just always stuck with me. And I just got that work ethic, and I like to be at the top. And I feel we've been there, with concrete and this new stuff. I'm excited about what we've done. We've done some benches. We've done an old bench. It looks like an old 50s Chevy truck with the old wooden beds. We hand carved it and stuff. I showed a lady today at Home Depot, and she was just getting ready to ask me what year it was. And I said, that's all concrete. And she's like, concrete? She's like, that looks like my truck, the same color and everything. But I'll send you a picture of it later.
Sure.
It's pretty cool. Like I said, for us instead of doing normal concrete, trying this new stuff is really cool to us. And then learning the new tricks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's so many things you can do. The more variety you get into, the better, the more fun you have. I mean, it's more challenges, it's more headaches. But what else do you like? How many reasons do you need to come to work and enjoy yourself? And doing the exact same thing every single day isn't it. When you don't know how many different things you're going to do in a month, and you don't know when you're going to do this same technique again, it becomes a different challenge every time you do it.
Yeah, and I'm always looking for that wow factor with people. I don't always have to make the most money on a job. It's the satisfaction, the happiness to have that person just wowed, and then they tell 10 of their friends, and you're over there doing all theirs. And the new stuff, the new stuff is just neat, trying to bring it into the concrete world, the full depth, because usually it's slick, broom, stamp, a couple different colors, but we're actually taking some of this overlay staining and to our full depth technique, which is really making instead of having 2-color brown with some antique or something, we're actually really staining it to look like some killer pieces of wood. And
that's awesome. Did you hear about the fact that the belt got stolen? You didn't hear the belt that we were using? It got stolen like that day.
By who?
They don't know.
Did you take it?
What?
Is
no,
it missing?
how do you? They said the same thing. They called me and they're like, "Did you take the?" I was like, "Why would I take the belt?" And let alone if I did take it, I would tell you because I've been friends with you guys forever. Like, why would I? I don't play tricks. I'm not a jokester. I'm not, like I don't play those games where you're gonna get me back. I don't play that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, why would I do that? They had a meeting this week after they returned from World of Concrete and talked about it, and everybody in the room was like, "Did Rick take it?" I'm like, "Why is it my fault? Why are you blaming me?" Like, I'm not even the one. I got called out. I came out there because I got called out, and now you think I stole it? No, I don't know. I probably probably,
Maybe
but
that guy talking shit. That's crazy.
hmm
Yeah, if I knew it was going to come up missing, I'd have took it home. That way I could have it here, and I'd be like, all right, I told you it's coming.
Oh my God. It would have been genius to do it, but no, I don't think that far ahead.
Yeah,
I would
would have
never
thought
do that.
about that to, yeah, cause some more drama.
But someone took it
Yeah,
later that day. It was sitting there
that
and
is
they snagged
crazy.
it. Can you believe that?
Huh.
I can't wrap my head
Yeah,
around the fact that someone had the audacity to steal it.
yeah, and walk around with a heavyweight belt. I mean, it's not like you're just sticking it
Right.
under your shirt and
That's the question. Did they actually plan it? Did they sit there and go, "Hey, you got that backpack, man. We're going to slip it in there as soon as we walk by, and no one's ever going
yeah,
to, you know what I
somebody.
mean?"
I
Like,
mean, you don't just do that. There's too many eyes. Yeah,
there
that's
wasn't.
huh,
It worked. No
huh,
one knows yet. Well,
yeah,
maybe if we get enough people watching this, maybe someone will be like,
huh,
"Hey, you know, who
yeah,
knows? We can be a
huh,
public service
yeah,
announcement. Be on the lookout.
yeah. If this was in the lookout, you guys got my belt.
I want it back."
Yeah, that some bitch belongs in Indiana. There is a reward.
It's going to stay with the people's champ, man.
Yeah. Yeah, now
Cool.
they
Well,
said the spectators vote. Are they going to, like, they'll be doing
yeah.
live shooting and stuff like that? Are they going to have online voting too, where spectators can,
No, only spectator. You have to be there because you won't be
only
able to see it
spectators
won't be
there?
live constantly. They'll just do a live like they did for like,
Yeah, little
half an hour,
clips.
15 minutes or something, right? No,
Yeah,
it's everybody that's there, and so there. I mean, the voting ends midday on Friday, so
yeah,
it's going to be a Thursday into Friday kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. I've done that before too because Decocrete's done Brawl in the Fall. They did it for a couple years at Concrete Decor, and I did it. I think I did every one of them. I might have missed one, but I'm trying to remember. But they like even one year I wasn't supposed to do it, and then they pulled me in last second because a guy backed out in San Diego. Because again, to the same point, they knew that if they asked me to do it, I would figure something out that I could do in
yeah,
that time period instead of because you'll see so many of them are not going to be ready for the time period, and I'm
yeah.
not happy that you guys get to start on Tuesday. That is some bullshit. It's not fair to me that
Coming
they
in
gave you
early.
guys an extra day. It really doesn't help.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
he told me that out there. He said, well, I was going to call you, and I guess some of these concrete guys, they have to come in and pour because they're using glowstone or this or that they want to add to it. He said, so
Hmm.
you guys get an extra 5 hours, which still I think you can't be over 40% on Thursday morning, and which we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one, two, three, five vertical things to carve. One, two, I got five or six horizontal things to like. There's so much carving and overlaying I got going on. I'm gonna be pushing mine to the limit, but I've
Yep.
got.
I,
I
I
can't wait to bring it to live.
I could finish mine in a day.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
that's
going to
what you're
stretch
saying
mine
out
out
there.
just
So
because.
yeah, so you're just gonna do
I
yours
plan it the other
Thursday,
way.
and yeah, you're gonna have to milk
I mean,
yours out a
I'll
little bit.
finish it Friday on purpose, but yeah, I will
Yeah,
have most of it done by the end of the day Thursday, and that's fine. It's a different style. I'm not
yeah,
doing anything that has to do with that. I'm taking it the opposite way, and I'm using dye, which dries in seconds, so I don't
yeah,
have to worry about anything. I can go at my own pace, and I have two people helping me because Chris Land and I came up with the idea in the first place
yeah,
because he helped me last year. He's been one of my students for a while. I've been mentoring him, and he's a great guy. So we kind of came up with it together, and then
yeah,
so he was coming no matter what. And then I posted about getting some extra help, just like I said, because I wanted some of my students
yeah,
involved. Because one of my biggest problems is I don't tell anybody what I'm doing at all.
yeah,
I just go in there and do my thing, and and then my students will show up, and I'll be like, "Hey, you want to help?" And they're like, yeah, sure. And then they'll jump in. There's been times when I've been by myself doing everything because I
yeah,
didn't think to ask for help. I just didn't think about it. I don't even know if
yeah,
we had the Decocrete community training page prior to that where I could ask my students that kind of stuff.
yeah,
One year, one of my students he has this big flower farm out in Oregon, and he wanted me to help him design this big patio at his place for his weddings and stuff like that. And so I came up with a design and sent it to him, and he was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is amazing." And I said, he goes, "What do you want for it?" And I said, "If you can come help me at Decocrete, I'll give this to you, no problem whatsoever, and help you through whatever you need." And he was like, "Hell yeah!" So he came out and helped me for a year. It was pretty awesome, and got a little bit of a refresher, and then pulled off an amazing design. It was amazing. He did a great job, and then he loved it so much he turned his corn maze into the same design.
Oh, awesome.
I've never had a corn maze made on one of my designs before. That was a new one.
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
cool. Yeah, and
I'm sure you haven't had that before either, have you?
No.
I don't know, dude. He just sent me a picture, and I was like, "What the?"
Yeah, how the hell? I'd like to be the guy on that combine.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I have no idea how they do it, but it was genius. The great guy.
Yeah, I'd like to see that sometime.
So what do you have planned?
I got a little message
between
from
now
Joseph
and then?
Redwine. Is that your secret? That's
Yeah.
your backup, Joseph?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw him posting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He messaged me right away. He took my class this year. And
Yeah,
so
I've
he was
not met him
excited to come help.
personally. We've been talking on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, he's a
I
nice
can't
guy.
wait to meet him. Yeah.
He did a great video. He had a 3D camera. I mean, a 360 camera. And so he filmed a lot during our class, and it was pretty cool how he put it all together. That video that
Yeah,
went
I've been
kind
seeing,
of, I don't know, sort of viral, he did.
yeah, I've been seeing some stuff he's posting. He said he was going to be at Decocrete and do some filming, and he might be a little tied up now. Well, I guess if it's only going to take you guys a day, he can film.
Oh, no, he's busy filming mine is what he meant.
It's going to be a short video.
And everybody's reaction. It'll be a short video. Doesn't matter. He's going to time lapse it anyway. It's going to be a great video. No one said it has to take very long.
Yeah.
It just has to be awesome.
Yeah. Have you heard?
Yeah, because go ahead.
You heard any designs or anything from the other people?
No, I was talking to Emil at my suite in Vegas, and I brought it up to him, and he was like, "Yeah, you can't show me what you're doing because I'm helping one of my students, the team that's my students. He's helping, and he's one of my students too." And so I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm competing against you," and I'm like,
Yeah, I got to actually talk to him in person last year too, and I've met him a few years ago. But actually, like I said, getting to walk up and talk to people, it was always been...
Well, okay. So this is a good question for you because I struggle with this all the time. How do I say this? Is it that I was that intimidating, or that you were just not sure how to...
It's not sure how to approach.
How to approach, yes.
I think it's not sure how to approach. Because like last year, you guys was all busy doing things, but I actually went and talked to Rebecca doing that big football. Got to talk to some of her and her guys, talked to Chris, but I still never did go over and talk to you or Ben Bass, and
That's funny.
I don't know. I think it was just maybe not knowing how to approach but
So one little detail to know about Ben Bass, especially, and Jeff Kurt, the three of us were drinking tequila the whole entire time.
Yeah, I got to talk to Jeff and actually see, he gave me some tricks, and we did a little bit of messing around on some vertical last year, but
yeah, I had 2 bottles of tequila that they both loved, and the three of us drank most of it the whole time. It was hilarious. So we were having a great time with that one, especially in the evening and everything too. But so you might, if you like tequila, we might be doing that in the background while we're enjoying ourselves.
I don't drink much.
Yeah.
I done a lot of that back in the day. I was wild. I was a little wild one.
I was not. I've just been the slow-paced, consistent guy.
Yeah, no, I went full bore. Grew up in a little country town, graduated high school. Within a few months, I was headed to prison for 2 years.
Really? What for?
Yeah. Theft. I
Really?
stole a 3-wheeler. Yeah. Yeah, you get hanging around the wrong crowd, drugs and alcohol, getting doing stupid shit, and you don't realize when you're young at 18 years old that it affects you. I'm 45 now, and I was a felon for 25 years, but I stamped this lawyer's pool. We hit it off, and when I started back up for myself in 21, uh, I hit him up and got all my record expunged, and try to do the right thing. I got 7 kids, so I'm trying to make sure they don't go down that path, and I coach and stuff like that. I feel if I can help one kid not go down the path I did, then I'm doing something right.
Absolutely, especially if you have 7 of them that have to do that. That's
Yeah,
a lot of responsibility to make sure all 7 of them don't go down that path.
yeah, it is.
How many
That's why
people?
I do a lot of
What's the
concrete.
population of your town?
Um, I don't know. We're just a little 1A school. A few thousand people probably.
The reason why I was asking is because I'm from a town of 14,000 people, and
Yeah, no.
same thing. There's nothing to do there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you, I completely understand your point of view because you know the funny thing from my point of view is because I never did that. I never did theft or anything like that. But we did do some stupid crap because we had nothing else to do. And
yeah,
it was kind of the craziest thing. We didn't have drugs. We didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. We did get into alcohol, of course, too. We always found someone to get it for us.
yeah,
But there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens when you're in a small town because there's nowhere to go. The great thing about it is there's nowhere to go. The bad thing about it is there's nothing to do. It's a great place to raise your kid because they can't get into any trouble, but we sure as hell find a way to do it, don't we?
yeah, yeah. Which we lived in the small town, and we created trouble. Yeah, my mom worked a couple jobs, take care of us. My uncles babysit us. I started drinking when I was 9 years old.
Wow. I think I was 13.
Yeah,
But then I stopped. I only drank in junior high for a little bit, and then I didn't touch it till I graduated to college or high school because I was in
yeah,
sports. Sports took care of everything for me. I was so
yeah,
devoted to all of my sports and all my letters and everything I did, and
yeah,
all my awards. As we talk about the awards, of my past, but I have a shit ton of awards from sports and everything like that. I went down that path instead and stayed
yeah.
focused on that and stayed away from it all.
Yeah, I played baseball for 10 years, and then I quit in high school, and which I regret that. But you just get busy, friends, girls, this, that, and lose sight of the big goal. And then, like I said,
Yeah.
after I graduated, but then you get hanging around, pool partying and crap like that. But concrete's kind
So
of,
when you came, I was just going to ask
go
that. When
ahead.
you came back from all that, how does concrete fit into all of it?
Um, when I got out of prison, I had a drywall business, and we was slow. And a friend I went to school with went to get some money from that Paul Terrell I was telling you about, the concrete guy, and we met. And next thing you know, I started working for him. Uh, he taught me actually really how to finish concrete. Uh, and then I worked for him for 4 years, ran his business, and then for myself.
Nice. Um, and so but you said you started your company in 21. You mean you started up
I've been
like,
working for myself pretty much my whole life, but uh, I went to work for a guy I went to school with doing state and commercial stuff for 4 years. We was doing handicap accessible playgrounds, water treatment plants, salt brine containments, and then I was 8 miles south of Gary. My youngest is graduating this year. He was starting freshman, so I was just tired of traveling, being away. So I told him to stick it and come back and started back up for myself and ain't turned back, which has been
how
the
did
best
you
thing ever
transition
happened to
from
me.
pouring concrete into doing more of the overlays and the stains and stuff you're doing
Well,
now,
I
or the
we still do
epoxies?
pour a lot, which like we poured almost 3,000 yards last year. The year before, 3,400 yards, which is a ton for residential. Uh, the the nice thing about the overlay, learning that, is I can add certain details to it, and we don't have to tear everything out. I used to be a big tear out. I didn't want to overlay because of the hype that it's not good, it's not going to last. Uh, but now there is some that you do need to tear out, just because what's under the concrete needs to be fixed. Not everything can be overlaid, but some of the new stuff you can do. Like we just did one for a friend of mine. He had stuff poured 20 years ago. Took about 60 bags because it sunk 3 inches in the middle. But we turned it into a custom timber. Man, it turned out awesome. But I would have never tried it 4 years ago.
Interesting how that changes, isn't it?
Yeah. Just because I wouldn't have tried to push that product, because I'm not one to go redo what I do. I don't want to. I try to stay at the top by learning some of this new certification, and I'm trying to be one of the best around. If there's 100 concrete guys, there's only 5 of them worth of crap. I feel we're in the top 3.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, of course, that I was the same way. Like, I was extremely private in Nashville. If you like, I had a few people that wanted to learn from me, and I didn't mind if I was teaching you from where you're at, because you're not in my territory. If there was a way for me to do it or come to you, I would. A lot of people wanted to come work for me for a couple months, and I'm like, no, I'm not bringing it to Nashville so you can see what the market is here and stuff like that either. I was extremely private in Nashville. Like, only a couple people had access to me in the industry that knew me.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I wanted nothing to do with you. I wanted no training to teach you. Like, if I did a training outside of town and someone from Nashville came there, I would have kicked them out. It never really happened, luckily, during that time period, but I had that kind of attitude. Like you were saying before, I was not helpful, but I was not helpful in Nashville. I was helpful anywhere else. Like, if we would have met at World of Concrete, I would have had no problem talking to you, but it took me a long time to get there. And like like you said, you heard Isaiah talk about, it took me a while to, those first couple times in World of Concrete. Yeah, I did have an attitude. The problem is that I went to art school. I didn't go to concrete school. I went to art school. I have a master's degree, high education and everything like that. I was trained to be like that. You're supposed to have ridiculous confidence. You're supposed to have that you're better than everybody else. You're supposed to have that mentality the entire time.
Hang on a minute, okay? Oh, here, take it in a minute. Okay, I'll be in there in a minute. That's my grandson.
I was watching him in the background of you the whole time. I just didn't want to bring it. I wanted to see how long he stood there.
Yeah, he's my world. He's going to be the future.
But yeah, it was one of those things that took me a long time to calm down. And then when I finally retired here in Nashville, I still didn't want to help the locals, because my company was still running without me for a while. Even though I had walked away, I had it still running without me. It was great. And then I went up to Decocrete, and a guy from Nashville was there, and I was like, hi. And it was awkward for me at first. And instead of me saying, get out, I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be better at this. I've got to learn. Welcome. But I kept giving him shit. I kept saying, don't show anybody else this stuff in Nashville. Like, I was kind of like, I was a funny. I gave him crap the whole time, but I was cool with him. And then I did we did a how fast can I cut this design, and he won. I was like, I laughed so hard. I had to take a picture with him and everything. And so what I did before we finished was, I was like, hey man, give me your number. Exchanged numbers, called him when I got back, went to lunch with him. I've helped him multiple times on jobs. Like, I use that for my point of making myself get better at that and really focus on that. And
it's rewarding,
because I can't tell you how many people before that had told me I'm intimidating to talk to. It's hard to approach me. And I'm like, why? I might just be busy, but as soon as you say hi to me, I'm a nice guy. Like, I'll talk to you. You found that out at World of Concrete. Like, I didn't come up to you and start yelling at you. I came up and was like, hey.
And you just really know when you go to them big places, because like I said, I'm from a little small town. I never went to anything like that. And that first Decocrete, seeing the vertical carve room, the this and that there, like, I mean, that was mind blowing. I'm used to seeing some crazy stamp, but not some of the stuff, you see there, the fireplaces outside that they've carved, and that's mind blowing. I still I was talking about the room today. I told Zach, I said, I want to take you over there while we're over there so you can see that room.
You're about 15, 20 minutes away, about 20 minutes away.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be too bad.
Because it's, yeah, well, you went there last year, so it's in Canton. You know, you got to go down
Yeah.
30 to the Orville store. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing to that too is the first time I met Decocrete was because I'm born and raised in that area. I'm born and raised 40 minutes away from there in middle of nowhere, Ohio. And so I drove down 30 every single time I went home. I had to go between Nashville and there. I had to drive 30 to get there. And one time my mom called me and was like, hey, there's this new concrete store on 30. And I'm like, no, there's not. There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
Why the heck would there be a store there? And she sent me the article of them like doing a grand opening or something like that. I'm like, what? And I was driving through, you know, a couple months later and I saw it and I was like, no way. So I stopped in and walked up and introduced myself and became friends with them ever since. It was just kind of, that was how it all started because it was my hometown kind of thing. Like I wasn't kidding when we were doing the video. My sister will be there, my brother-in-law, my nephew might help. He got sick last year, so couldn't come, but he's come a couple of times. So yeah, it's a big deal. My parents used to come, but now my parents live in Nashville.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of those things, but it is literally a family thing for me, as funny as that is. My parents came to everyone until they moved here. They would we would get a chair for them and they would sit right beside me and watch everybody react to me and watch everything that was going on. So, you know, I'm not kidding. It literally is a family experience for me. Like I'm going to my
Watching
hometown to
little baby
represent
boy
is what I'm
perform.
doing.
Yeah. Well, I hate to be the one to break their hearts this time.
You can keep dreaming all you want to. Hopefully after this, you're going to have more nightmares instead of dreams, but you know, keep trying.
Yeah. I'm going to have to freaking find a shelf for that belt, that missing belt. The world, we're wanting to know
You're
where
kidding?
that
I'm
belt
going to
is.
wear it everywhere. I can't wait to wear it to World of Concrete next year and walk around the whole time with it. Are you kidding?
Yeah, they're going to be like, what the hell?
I'll get an entourage of people around me to act like I'm the champ walking around.
Yeah, I told my wife, I said I was thinking about having like a little boom box with the Rocky song when we come to
I thought the same
Decocrete.
thing coming in with the robe on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, because we also have a lot of fun in the evening too. You know, that the great thing about the Decocrete show, and that's why I was asking about why it was hard to approach me, because if you hung out anytime in the evening, that's when it's the time to approach people. It's a lot easier then than it is when they're in the middle of doing their demonstration, like you're saying, because sometimes it is you don't know when to bother them. But you can't, it's no big deal in the evening because that's what we're there for. Like we want people to come up and say hi. I don't know how easy it is for people to do that with me or not. I've thought about it over the years and I've tried to fix that because I know I used to be difficult. Like I said to Isaiah, I used to be, you know, a pain about that. But I think it's one of those things I've been working on for a long time. So I haven't heard anybody have that problem in a while. I was caught off guard when you said that.
Yeah. Does it feel more rewarding to reach out and help more people than a little more standoffish?
100%. I wish I would have understood that years ago. There's a lot of things I would have done different, both locally and nationally, if I would have known that my attitude was getting in the way. It really is. And it took, I talk about it all the time. My buddy, I have a couple of friends that, you know, my concrete guy, my buddy Ryan, when I first started doing this, I only did acid stains and solvent-based sealers, interior, exterior. That's all I ever did. And like solid colored for pool decks and stuff like that. It took me, you know, Ryan showed me what epoxies were like and urethanes were like and this whole other world. And then the dyes came out. Before all that, I was so focused on one thing. I thought I knew everything so much that I thought I could start a franchise and just acid stain and sealer. I was that naive and that big-headed and I knew that the world had no idea what I was capable of if only they would see what I could do. And then that happened, you know, and all of a sudden everything changed. And as that happened, I started off with that chip on my shoulder of like, I got something to prove. I'm going to show the world I'm better than everybody else, and they're going to respect me. Well, they didn't. They didn't give a shit. Some did, but I mean, they didn't really. Like, the industry itself was like, okay, so you're just another person that knows what they're doing. Great, welcome to the show. It wasn't like I'm special. It was just I'm another person trying to make a name for myself, and you don't come to me with an attitude. You don't come to me and tell me that you're better than me or anything like that. And I was like, what? It took me a while to figure that out. It really did. And I have a lot of friends that have helped me through that, luckily, that stuck with me and didn't let go of that and didn't go, screw this guy, he's a dick. They really did kind of, take their time and be patient with me, shockingly, and it worked. And once I realized it, it took me years to really remember, you did it again. Stop doing that. Like I said, with the student that came from Nashville, a couple times I kept catching myself going, stop talking like that. Be nice to the guy.
Yeah.
It's a struggle for me all the time because of my background, because of my art degree, because of how I was trained, I have a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, because you had to go work
I
for
have
that. You
something
didn't
to
want
prove.
to just hand it away.
Correct.
Is that one?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
you worked hard for it. You didn't
like,
feel the need to just give secrets away. And
correct. And that's exactly the point. And to the same point, there's a guy, I think, out of Wisconsin that I'm friends with now. They called me out one time on Facebook, and I forgot all about it. Totally called me out because I said, come to my class to learn that brush technique. And he got so offended by it, he sent me this private message and just destroyed me about how much of a prick I am and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, who the fuck? And I just threw it away and forgot about it. Well, we were at a Decocrete show one year, and I was sitting at the bar talking to him. And he was like, hey, man, I got to apologize to you. And I'm like, what? And he told me the whole story, and I looked it up, and I was like, why the fuck would you say that to me? Like, I didn't. And then he went and took my class. And after he took my class, he was like, I'm even more apologetic because now I get it. It is something you have to experience. You can't tell someone. You have to see the knowledge that I have. You can't just hear about it. He just didn't get it, and he thought I was being a prick. And I was like, no. I was legitimately like, no, serious. Like, you got to come see me. It's not that simple. And it changed his whole world, and we've been friends ever since. But I could have just been like, dude, what the hell, and never talked to him again. Or if he had never brought it up, I would have forgot about it. But, there's that too. So it's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to balance.
Yeah. And it's not just talking over the phone. Like, I do call the Pride Boys a lot for consult on the phone, but like, you need to see classes. You need to go do trainings. You need to have your hands in it and hands on. That's what probably helped me the best, because I've been going to the Decocretes. We went up to Andrew Henderson's in Chicago and got certified. Went to a couple Wicked Colors trainings. Went to Vegas to go out there and just to learn stuff. Trying to pick people's brains. Not everybody wants to give you that knowledge, but like I said, it is cool when some certain people do take that time and show you tricks and things like that we've never thought of. Or
I'm gonna give you a little secret that not too many people know, or I think they assume they know. But I've only taken one class in my entire life, and that was on how to polish. Just the basics of polish. Everything I know, I learned on my own. I never ever took a class for any of it.
Yeah, that's the way I've been until.
Which is why I also have that
recently.
problem too.
Yeah. Recently, I've actually learned this because I was just into the concrete. Was doing decorative concrete, regular concrete, residential, small, commercial, but I didn't need classes and training to go do concrete. I mean, I knew how to do some staining, but there is levels to this stuff. And you don't really realize it until you meet people like you said to Isaiah about the people in this decorative industry. You like, I've been in it 20 some years before I seen the vertical and the overlay and the stuff like that. And there's so many more levels to that is just mind blowing. Like I said, I was just in the regular concrete forever, and seeing this new stuff, I feel it's setting my company apart because I'm taking these techniques to the full depth. And there's a few
Well, I
people
was just going
around
to
that's
say that
doing
not
it.
just taking them to the full depth, but always striving to have new techniques to grow. That's a big deal to your clients. Like to know
Yeah,
that you're not stuck doing the exact. Another way to look at it is how many companies you compete against that come in and show them three options, and that's all you have. Instead of
yeah,
going, let's dream. How far do you want to take this? That's one of the greatest things about what people like you and I can do when we go to our meetings. It's dream. How far do you want to
yeah.
go? How
One of my
far can I
buddies, he
stretch
does
this?
just broom and slick. He's a concrete
Yeah.
guy, been doing it for 30 years, but he does broom and slick. If they want stamped, he'll send them to me. But I want to do it all. I want to be able to show you that, and I like showing people my pictures, just to see the replies. Oh my God, that's wood. No, that's concrete. Like that is. I've always liked that. I guess some people feed off of that or whatever. Uh, I just love the concrete world, the things you can do with it. I've always wanted to try to put the better product out there than everybody else was doing. The best broom, the best
Well, the great
whatever.
thing that you get to use to your advantage after this year's Decocrete Smackdown is you get to be able to go to your clients then and say, "Yeah, I also took second in the Smackdown this year," and you get to use that as part of your advertisement too.
Yeah. I'm afraid it's going to be a different guy in second, though. But
Yeah, you mean like
it'll
third?
probably get me a few jobs because I'll maybe like, look, I mean, this guy here, he's got 18 awards, and that didn't even help him in this challenge. I mean, yeah,
I'm pretty sure
I've
it'll
never
keep me
been
up
to,
there some way
yeah,
somehow.
yeah, yeah. I've never been to a challenge or anything like that. I mean, I don't know if it's helped or not, but I've manifested. I mean, I've seen the vision of me holding this belt up. I don't think it's to hand it to you.
I'm positive it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what everybody on Facebook
I,
says, but I
I
like to
know.
be a
I saw
spoiler.
that. I can't.
I,
I gotta say,
well,
man, that's
that's
one
one
of the
thing that made me
reasons
want to do
why.
the call out.
Yeah,
That's what made me
yeah.
want to do the
Go
call
ahead.
out when that one guy's like, "Oh, Rick's taking it," and I'm like, "Rick's a badass, but fuck that. I'm not just going to let somebody say they're going to take it. They're going to fight."
And, and one of them after the video still said, "I still got Rick," and I was like, "Yes."
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
that
Rick's,
right there is one of the best feelings
yeah,
I've ever had because again,
and it
I've
does
done
make
this
you
so
feel
many
good.
times. It does, man, because it's never happened for me on social media. No one
Yeah,
calls
and
me
I've never
out.
been called an
Not calls me
artist,
out. Just
but yeah,
yeah.
but like
Well,
some of the stuff,
you're
like you said,
really
you
an
took art
artisan, but
class,
that's
or
okay.
I some of the when I show people pictures, they're like, "Oh my God, you are talented. You are that is artistry." I've never really thought about that in the concrete world, but some of the stuff that
Hmm.
you're doing, it does take a certain eye for, and uh, that's cool in this world to that step up. Like the stuff you do, you're always trying to and thinking of stuff, different ideas, different designs, different techniques. Yeah, I'm excited.
Different calculations. Math
Yeah,
is my friend. I'm probably one of the rare ones in the industry where math is my friend. And I've already calculated
yeah,
this entire one out.
yeah. You've probably already grinded this thing out. Yeah,
I've drawn it out. I got it all scaled perfectly on the
yeah.
drawing. I know exactly how it's going to play out. Everything.
Probably done grinded it 3 times in your head.
Yeah, right. In my head. I don't want to mess up a floor just to do it. But yes, I've
Yeah,
thought about that. I do have a space in my warehouse where I could at least draw it if I want to, but I'm confident going from paper to, because that's what I've always done. I mean, I have like hundreds and hundreds of sketches of
yeah.
all math broken down of all the projects that I've done in a long, like in a,
Do you ever try to
a
do a
lot.
sample of what you're doing? Do you ever try to
Only
sample
if I
what you're
need to
doing
for a
to?
client, but I'll sketch it. I mean, if it's a complicated math, I'll do it on the floor at my warehouse.
Yeah,
One of the things I teach people is, throughout the winter when you have very limited to do because of the weather, that's the time to spend time just drawing in your studio, on in your warehouse, on your driveway. Like there's always somewhere you can draw. Cutting is a whole different
yeah,
conversation. But, you can practice drawing all the time because you can just rinse it off. You can wipe it off. And even my employees, when we would have a slow week, I would take him into the warehouse and go, okay, here's a drawing. I need you to sketch this on the floor and map out the outside of it and say, okay, go, tell me when you're done and I'll come, check it out. And then I'd wipe it all off and go, okay, now I need you to do this. And that's how, or do it again, and that's how I train my employees. When I had time to, I would pay them that way to keep them busy instead of send them home for the day and not pay them at all.
Yeah. And then teaching them what you want, getting them the better hands-on. I'm big into showing my guys
Correct.
that. I feel if you don't show them what you want, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, and to your same point, I met up with, it's a podcast is coming up soon. I got to record where two of my old employees are going to meet up with me, and that's back to that issue of like with the conversation from Isaiah about my attitude to everybody around me.
Yeah.
That to go meet with them for dinner was really hard for me because I don't look back. I'm always looking forward, the past, and if and I'm always worried that they were mad at me or they hated me or there was some issue and I was a dick, and because I was hard to work for without a question. And instead it was the exact opposite. He was like, it drives me crazy to see when someone uses a brush in front of me, like it drives me crazy still to this day. And I have to train all my guys how to use a brush. And I was like, what? You paid attention? Because he was terrible at it. And I had a picture of him like that comes up every year of him holding a brush on a project we did. And it was us commenting, just joking about the brush technique and stuff like that. And he remembers that and it blew my mind that he had all this, and he said, your attention to detail and everything you taught me. And I was like, what? Like, I really didn't think you actually pay attention or you retain it or anything like that. And he's like, I've run my company just like you did ever since then. And I was like, really? Mm-hmm. It was mind blowing to me to hear that and go through that with him. And it just caught me completely off guard. And I was like, yeah, we need to talk about this.
To see that it's actually getting reciprocated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy kind of things that you never know. I hear from my students a lot. I don't hear from my employees because I was terrible about that. Yeah. But my students are always contacting me, asking questions about projects. And I love that. I really do. Because now you're in my inner circle. Now you know my language. Now you know how to communicate with me.
Yeah. And I'll be reaching out about
sorts
things.
Of stuff now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to help you during the Smackdown.
Yeah, I don't need no help. You might need help walking off the course.
I told you I'm quick.
I'll bring a walker.
Oh, that was a good one. Okay, well, I want to thank you for your time, man. This has been great. I'm looking forward to how this all turns out and seeing, us 1 and 2 on the podium, maybe 1 and 3, if you have a chance, we'll see. Cause Rachel's going to be another tough one to beat. I'll tell you that much. She's another,
they're all going to be tough. Oh yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with silver. For you guys.
No, there's nothing wrong with anything but first, without a question. It is what it is. And I don't care.
Just to be involved
I think that this is it to the point. I'm enjoying our banter because of the fact we both are just like, this is just an awesome thing to do. It's going to be an amazing opportunity.
And
it really is.
Yes, I hope I win. But I'm going to be excited for anybody who wins. Just being part of this is going to be awesome. It's going to be winning enough. But like I said, to take top place would be the icing on the cake. And like I said, just being involved in other names around the industry of, like I kind of manifested it last year. I told my worker that went with me. I said, can you imagine us having our trailer in this parking lot one day or something like that? And then bam, here coming up this year. Better just hope the next manifest I did is not right.
This is so easy for me. I don't even need a trailer.
I got to bring my trailer to haul the stuff over. I just hope that damn highway comes.
I know that's how little I need. That's how little I need.
Well, that's awesome, Rick. I appreciate
awesome, man.
You.
We'll Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm really glad we did this, and hey,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do it again after just to talk about how it went too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
I'll bring the
hopefully one of us
tissues.
is holding the belt during that conversation.
Yeah. I'll bring the tissues.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for hanging out
All
with
right.
me, and we'll talk in a couple weeks, man. I'm looking forward to it. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Have a great night.
Thank you for watching the show. Don't forget the Decorative Concrete Expo is February 27th and 28th. Come see the Smackdown. Come see if I'm going to win. We're looking forward to seeing everybody, and you have a great day.